I'm brave enough to be crazy. I'm strong enough to be weak. I see all these heroes with feet of clay whose mighty ships have sprung a leak. And I want you to tell me, darling, just what do you believe in now? Turn this thing around. I will not go quietly. I will not lie down.
Political radicalism needs a catalyst. Political radicalism does not come out of peace, prosperity, rising wages, stable families, church attendance, and happy people. Happy people, grateful people, do not get behind Vladimir Lenin, and they certainly don't get behind Chavez or Castro.
That's right.
People that own nothing, that feel like their property is diminishing, or they don't have property, or their dollar is diminishing in value, they start to look for alternatives.
I come on here today with a pretty heavy heart. And to start off, my prayers and condolences to Charlie Kirk and his family. What took place in Utah, it is an utter disgrace. It is the antithesis of what the United States I was born in and grew up in, stood for, represented, what it was. And 40 years ago, this would never have even been imaginable to have happened. And now it's become commonplace. And it's horrific. And sadly, social media and just the mainstream media, they have fueled this to such a disgusting level that it really needs to be addressed. Here was a man who stood for everything that America is supposed to be. And he was respected by both sides. He had an interview with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom said, yeah, my son really likes him. I mean, that right there says it all. That there was a relatability to Charlie Kirk that few people are able to achieve. He did it through graciousness and calmness and just intelligently presenting his ideas to people who were incapable of listening and understanding, in my opinion. But that's a story for another day. But I wanted to go through some of the most egregious reactions, not just for the shock factor that these were the reactions, but to show where the problem is. And believe it or not, well, maybe it's not too shocking. Dan Wooten tweets, the BBC and Democrats actually make me physically ill. This is how the British public broadcaster decided to react to the announcement of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Shame on you. She's actually laughing. And then he proceeds to play a clip. Problem is, he's only playing part of the clip and he's taking it out of context. Now, Dan pretends to be an investigative journalist, but all he's doing here is fanning the flames and fueling the fire. And he's doing it disingenuously because he doesn't play the whole clip. Now, I actually went and found the clip in its entirety. And when you hear the whole thing, yeah, it's questionable. Her attitude is callous. But his entire presentation is misleading. Number one, yeah, she is a BBC consultant or contributor. But she's an American Democratic strategist. So she's not necessarily representing the BBC. Yes, I understand she does contribute to them and they are responsible ultimately for it, but it's misleading. Second thing is, he doesn't play the entirety of the clip. And when you do, it changes the meaning. When I heard it at first, I said, well, I want the context of this. And I actually went and found the entirety of the clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it first through to where Dan stopped it. And then we'll play the rest.
It is a really shocking moment, and I was thinking, I've never shared a Trump post in my life. I will contemplate sharing this one. But what I will say with the caveat, he wasn't admired and loved by all. So that's an exaggeration, but the truth is, it doesn't matter.
Now, it sounds there like she is saying that Charlie Kirk doesn't matter, it sounds like she's demeaning him, and it sounds like and she is being callous, no doubt. Her attitude is callous. But it sounds like she's saying it doesn't matter, that his death doesn't matter, that his life doesn't matter. But, I have to hope that Dan went and found the whole clip and decided to do this maliciously, because otherwise he just doesn't understand what a journalist is supposed to do. Because you have to hear the rest of the clip.
It doesn't matter.
Sorry,
let me
Matthew,
finish.
go ahead.
It doesn't matter whether he was loved. I understand why President Trump said it. I'm not critiquing it, but what I'm saying is we don't have to like and admire someone to want to believe that they get to go out and speak and share their views in front of people who support them and who don't support them.
Now, when you hear the entirety of the clip, it changes the meaning entirely. And well, I acknowledge fully she was being callous and pretty nasty, but what she was ultimately doing was presenting the basic tenet of the Bill of Rights and the idea that, yes, Americans all have the right to free speech, but as a result, we have the responsibility of listening to speech we hate and giving those people that same right. And that's what she's saying there. And the fact that people would clip it and then present it, it does no good to tell only a part of the story. It doesn't make Dan look good. It doesn't make her look good. It doesn't make journalists look good. Because then we can't trust whether or not the next time around they're going to give the full story, and then the next time, and then the next time. And what happens is it just keeps fueling the same problem. And an American congresswoman, I'm sorry, I didn't take note of who it was. It was someone who I wasn't familiar with, but she said to Congress, every damn one of you who called us fascists did this. You're too busy doping up kids, cutting off their genitals, inciting racial violence by supporting organizations that exploit minorities, protecting criminals, and stirring hate. You are the hate you claim to fight. Your words caused this. Your hate caused this. Charlie, his family, those kids, no one deserved this. And the very people that are condemning Charlie for his words and his actions. And I've yet to find a clip, and I'm looking all over today, I've yet to find a clip where he is anything other than presenting a point of view calmly, rationally. I mean, in the face of the most ridiculous, attempts to get a reaction from him, and he remains calm. And he remains focused on the point of view. And thank God we have a president in the White House who recognizes this and understands the importance of our right to free speech.
Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big.
I mean, the reactions of the people on the left say it all. People like this idiot who are cheering the death of a young man, a young father, with a wife, 2 kids. I mean, for this woman to even suggest that there's anything to be made happy about that, she's basically cheering the death of free speech in the United States. Because if you're not willing to hear the other side, then you don't want free speech. I have a short, and it's by the British former MP Anne Widdecombe. I have the short on both my channels. I'm just going to play it here because whether you're in the UK or the US, it's the same concept. The concept that the only way you can have free speech is if you're willing to listen to everyone's speech. Actually, this short on my ORMV channel got 7 million hits. So this is a big one. It's a good one.
Nobody has the right to live their lives being protected from offence or from insult or from hurt feelings. It is an occupational hazard of living in society. And if you really can't take it, become a hermit.
I mean, this is another example of taking his words out of context and using it to fuel things. I can't stand the word empathy. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term, and it does a lot of damage. He's not saying he doesn't agree with the emotion of empathy or the compassion of empathy. He's mocking the word and the way that it's being used, the context that it's being used. But everybody is turning it around and saying, why would we have empathy for the death of someone who has no empathy? Charlie is not saying he doesn't have empathy. He's saying he doesn't like the way the word is being overused and twisted. But this is just a perfect example of it. They twist it to make it sound like he's saying he is incapable of empathy. It's the exact opposite. He's trying to say that they are taking a term that has actually deep meaning, and they are robbing it of all meaning because everybody has to have empathy, even for things that aren't worth empathy. Because that's not what empathy is about. Empathy is putting yourself in someone else's position and feeling how they feel, and feeling badly that they might be suffering. That's what empathy is. But empathy now is you have to accept everything, and that's not the case. You can be empathetic without saying that someone is right. Like this idiot, I could be empathetic for Suki, who doesn't feel empathy. I'm not, but I could be. And it wouldn't mean that I had to agree with her, him, whatever. You know, these people that say maybe Charlie Kirk shouldn't have spent years being a hateful, demagogic fascist, and this wouldn't have happened. Maybe he should take some personal responsibility. Well, here's the problem. By any stretch of the imagination, they misunderstand fascism. Fascism is actually being the furthest left of the political spectrum. I mean, I think I did a video about this. Go on Google and you will see the definition of fascism, and it's completely wrong. This is the, maybe since the year 2000 definition of fascism, but this is not what fascism is. Fascism is a far-right ideology characterized by ultranationalism, authoritarianism, and opposition to democracy and liberalism, placing it at the far right of the traditional political spectrum. It is distinguished by its emphasis on national unity and a powerful state, often through a corporatist economic system, and historically includes movements like Italy and Germany. The thing is, though, they're saying that this is what fascism is because that's what they want it to be, because they want to be able to use the term fascism and use it to denigrate the far right. But that's not what it is. That's not the traditional definition of fascism. That's the current definition of fascism. But if you look at what fascism is, it's the far left that is doing all of the things that make up the true definition of fascism, not their current warped definition, but the true definition. Characteristics of a fascist party, political party. National decline and victimhood, an obsession with a perceived national decline, humiliation, or a sense of being a victim of historical forces. Identification of scapegoats, the practice of singling out enemies or minority groups as a unifying cause for national anger and resentment. Yeah, only they're singling out the silent majority and making them the focus for national anger. Suppression of human rights. There's only one side of this political toilet that we have these days that is trying to suppress free speech, and that is the left. We all know that. Militarism and violence, an embrace of military and paramilitary. Did you see riots in the streets last night? People burning down neighborhoods over Charlie Kirk? No, you didn't. That doesn't happen from the far right. It happens from the far left. Control of media, state control over mass media to disseminate propaganda. Well, who controls the media? Whose voice is the only one heard in mainstream media? The left wing. Economic control, government control over the economy, often through authoritarian corporatism, where the state directs both companies and workers towards national goals. Look at affirmative action. Look at all the ways that the left over the last 30 years has done just that. Changed the economic forces in the entire labor force of the United States. Controlled it to make it a social experiment instead of an economic system. Suppression of labor power and independent labor movements to ensure corporate interests align with national unity. It's the ones forcing manufactured guidelines to business that are the fascists. All of these things are the things being done by the left. And yet they're going around saying that the far right is fascist. It's not. It's the exact opposite. And even the use of that is part of the propaganda. And all Charlie Kirk did was he went to the college campuses and he made sure that they knew that this was the reality. He tried to deprogram college kids from this fascist education that they're getting in most college campuses today. And he tried to deprogram it. And look what happened. They lost their minds over the possibility that all that indoctrination that they've been doing of the American college kids for the last 30 years was all going by the wayside. Because here was someone who could prove that it was nonsense. And he could do it in a calm, rational demeanor. And people came. The kids came and they went and they watched. And they listened. And they learned. And God knows that's the worst thing that could happen for a liberal. College kids learning the truth? God forbid. And the worst is that the left, their media outlets, their media mouthpieces, they are the ones that are out there fanning more and more fuel to the fire. And they've been doing it ever since Trump said he was going to run for re-election, pretty much. I mean, everybody, and people don't think that this constant repetition of lies and misinformation is dangerous. Hell, I've been saying it's dangerous that Meghan Markle's debacles has been doing this. That it's dangerous. And no one wants to listen to it when it's, just a silly YouTuber. Well, guess what? Charlie Kirk started out as just a silly YouTuber. And people told lies. And people misrepresented him and misinformed people about what he said and did. It's the same thing. And you have mainstream media, what's his name? Matthew Dowd. Thank God he got fired. Thank God he got fired. What the heck was he doing on As Long as He Was? Why didn't it happen sooner? Thank God Joy Reid isn't on there these days. Or is she back? Who the hell knows?
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
It's unbelievable how many times I've heard about his hate speech. And yet I've not seen any examples of it, except where they turned and twisted his words out of context, where he said the thing about empathy. That's not what he was saying. He wasn't saying that there should be no empathy. He was saying he didn't like the way the term is used. Tried to erase a man. Instead, they wrote his name on 1,000,000 hearts. They wanted silence. Instead, they triggered an army of voices that will never be silenced. Today, they created millions of Charlie Kirks. If you refuse to bow, say it with me. I am Charlie. This was the motto on my ORMV channel. One whisper, added to that of 1,000 others, becomes a roar of discontent. And that's the way it has to be done when you're the silent majority. It has to be a bunch of those silent whispers. Not silent, but you know what I mean. A bunch of those whispers have to become that roar. Otherwise, nothing ever changes. And we just lose our country bit by bit by bit. And we're watching it. It's not just the United States. It's Canada. It's the UK. It's Australia. All these places it's France. All of these places that are, for the most of my life, were the bastions of democracy. And these are the places that are losing it the fastest. And if they lose it, then the world is screwed. I mean, there's really no other way to look at it. And I mean, let's look at some of these idiots out there. Absolute freaking morons.
I swear I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about this news. I'm not happy about this news. It's so unfortunate. Can I just send a message to this? Great idea, wrong target. No, but seriously, we're gonna be serious. It's so unfortunate when bad things happen to bad people. Who would have thought the man that made it his whole personality to hate on everybody that didn't look like him and have his same gender, that other people would want to... Y'all see that Trump said that we're gonna have to pray? I hope them prayers do the same thing that they did for slaves, that they did for... No, but seriously, Charlie Kirk, shots and prayers.
And thank God, places are starting to take this seriously. Middle Tennessee State University, a MTSU employee today offered inappropriate and callous comments on social media concerning the horrific and tragic murder of Charlie Kirk. The comments by this employee, who worked in a position of trust directly with students, were inconsistent with our values and have undermined the university's credibility and reputation with our students, faculty, staff, and the community at large. This employee has been fired, effective immediately. We extend our deepest sympathies to the Kirk family. Well, thank God. Thank God. And then you have an anesthesiologist. This person, this is supposedly an educated woman. And listen to her talk.
I'm just really glad Charlie Kirk just got himself fucking shot, because he's right. Empathy is dangerous to society. So no one should give a fuck that he's dead. He said it. I'm just saying his words. All I'm doing is using his words. You can't be mad at me for using his words. I think empathy is a new wave thing and is very problematic. You right. No empathy for you. Zero.
I mean, I almost get the feeling that they just want to be famous just for something. And if this is how they can do it, they have no problem doing it. I mean, this is someone super Stansky. I'm not being or lectured on morality by GB News scumbags who are radicalizing people to the far right daily. I face violent threats to my life because scum like you provoke the same misogynistic, violent division and hate that Kirk did. It has consequences. Shut the F up. Now what's interesting is I thought I followed this person, Super Tansky. I might be wrong, but I think that there's someone that's against Johnny Mercer, and I remember following them. Sky News saying Charlie Kirk's death isn't the time to talk about politics. He was divisive and hateful, which incites political violence. He supported free gun access. As this incident was unfolding, kids were simultaneously getting shot at in a school in Denver. I don't know about that, but it doesn't make it right. I mean, two rights don't make a wrong. So if someone was getting shot in Denver, it doesn't make it okay to shoot Charlie Kirk. And yeah, unfortunately, some people are famous, and they're the events that happen to them, the tragedies, will become better known. I'm sorry, that's just reality.
Please let the rumors be true. Let the gossip be reality. Please.
Guys, it happened. He got it pronounced dead. Oh my god, this is literally like, I swear to God, the equivalent of like the big beautiful obituary. Like, we're so close. We're this fucking close. I swear we're this close. That is for sure. I am definitely popping a bottle tonight. I can't believe this. Whoever did it, I just want to say thank you so much. Whoever did it, they finally did it for the sake of humanity. Thank you so fucking much. Thank you.
Holy fucking shit, he's dead? Fucking shit.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
To everyone saying that it was such a senseless, violent act, I want you to remind yourself that it was God's plan. I mean, really, it was actually his fault because, like, he should have been wearing, like, a bulletproof neck brace or something. Like, I cannot believe he walked out the house without it. I mean, really, you have to be aware of what you're wearing in public so that, like, people don't target you. And you don't become a victim. So I guess this is just another example of God's plan in action. It was not a senseless act of violence. This was God's plan. Happy?
So with Charlie Kirk getting shot, it's a good time to remind us that he is the one who said verbatim that gun deaths are worth it for to keep his gun rights. So as long as we don't take any guns from anybody because of this, he died a happy man.
I would say pour one out for Kirky boy, but I don't waste good beer on little bitches.
Charlie Kirk was the embodiment of everything the left hates. Young, smart, Christian man with a beautiful wife and kids that loved listening to young kids' views from both sides of the aisle and was passionate about debating these young people. And that's what he did. He Socratic method. He questioned them, questioned what they were saying, questioned, oh, you support Kamala Harris. Well, how come? Tell me one of her policies that you support. And they can't come up with anything. And that's what the left hated. I mean, even the kids that didn't learn necessarily, that didn't, come to Charlie's point of view or way of thinking or anything like that, they at least learned how to think things through, which is the biggest problem in college campuses today is they don't allow kids to think. They indoctrinate them. They tell them what to think. And even 30 years ago, I would get grades on papers, and the reason would be that I just didn't agree with what the teacher said. Not because I couldn't defend my position, but they only want to hear the same thing back. They don't want to hear that you thought it through. And I was taught by Jesuits who, let me tell you, if anyone wants people to think on their own and think critically, it's the Jesuits. And even there, it was limited.
Charlie Kirk said that black women do not have the brain processing power to be taken seriously. All right, let's check his brain processing power. Oh. Charlie Kirk said that black women...
Now you'll notice she doesn't include a screenshot of where Charlie Kirk is saying that. She doesn't include a clip of him saying that. So show me where he said that. Because unless you can show me where he said that, you just are a malicious, awful human being. Without the evidence that not that the evidence would have made what she did any better or any more acceptable, but at least she would have had a decent argument. She doesn't know how to do that. She doesn't know how to present that. And that was the problem, that Charlie would go out onto these college campuses and show kids. Yeah, but where did she say that? Where did Kamala Harris do that? Where's there evidence that Donald Trump did these things? And when they didn't present it, he would say, you didn't pass the test. You didn't win. You didn't prove me wrong. You proved that you can parrot back to me what you hear in the mainstream media, but you didn't prove me wrong, which was the goal, which is what his presentations to college campuses were. Prove me wrong. And listen, I don't even know anymore what's going on in Israel. I mean, Israel, Palestine, I've lost track of it, to be quite honest, because you just can't believe anything that you hear anymore, because both sides are just talking and talking and talking endlessly. But I can tell you this. I can tell you that this is something that happened in America. This happened in the United States. This is our problem. This is our grief. This is our situation. I'm tired of every time anything happens anywhere around the world, there's tweet upon tweets about Israel and Palestine. This has nothing to do with Israel and Palestine. This has to do with us. This has to do with our country, our right to free speech, and us dealing with this as a nation. You go deal with your own crap. It's not my job to fix Israel and Palestine. It's not my job. I have an opinion about it. I have a feeling about it. I know what I believe, but that's a video for another day. Tell me tomorrow about how many kids died in the last week in Gaza, and I'll care. But right now, I don't want to think about that, because I want to think about what is happening to my country. And I want them to go solve their problems amongst themselves, just for a day. I mean, the fact that we can't have anything happen anywhere around the world that Israel and Palestine is not making it about them. I'm tired of it. It's fatigue to the highest order. Not that they're right or wrong. Whoever is doing it, I don't care. I just want a day to remember a fantastic man, a patriot, a brave man, a good father. Oh, those poor kids. Let me just spend a day worrying about those kids and not someone else. I'll worry about Gaza tomorrow. Please, just give it a rest. Now, I do want to talk briefly about the event itself. I mean, let's be honest here, people. Something about this is just a little too similar to what we saw happening in Butler, Pennsylvania Same thing, same MO. We know who ended up being connected to that, right? So, what's going on here? I mean, clearly, there's a problem. If this cannot, if we can't, scan the roof. Well, I mean, honestly, and I don't even blame Charlie Kirk's security or Utah security. I mean, the Secret Service couldn't handle it, so how can these people? I mean, let's look at the video footage where you actually can see the guy running away. First, I'm going to play you the entire clip, and notice it's Israel News that does this clip. Of course, it's got to be about them. But first, you see the entirety of the clip, and I find this clip fascinating because you're seeing people who are perfectly safe. They're inside the buildings, and you can see the crowd just move en masse. And then I'll show you the clip slowed down where you can actually see the shooter run away. So the FBI has released this photo saying this is, in fact, the shooter. Now, I look at this photo, and it looks a lot like the kid who shot the United Healthcare executive in New York. Looks like the guy who attempted to assassinate then President-elect. I mean, there's just too much coincidence in this similarity. Young white males, tall, thin. I mean, the perfect assassins, or are they just all nuts? I don't think it's possible that they're all nuts, which means someone's looking for a type, and that type is doing a job. Do I have any evidence of that? No, I don't even know this guy's name. I don't even know if this is really him. What I'm saying, though, is that where there's smoke, there's fire. Once something happens, fine. Twice is a coincidence. 3 times, it's a pattern. And the pattern that I see is that the same type of person is doing all of this. And I don't think it's possible that all the nutcases look the same. I mean, something's not right here. Something's not adding up. Something's not adding up to a coincidence, I should say. It's adding up, but it's not a pretty picture. Then you have this idiot, who, even more ridiculous, is the fact that multiple people are claiming that's them. Well, obviously, not all of them can be telling the truth. So people are trying to, take credit for this. They should be ashamed of themselves. They are a disgrace. People should not be taking credit for this as though it's something to be proud of. Now, I do have some footage. I promise you there is nothing graphic in this footage. There is incredibly graphic footage out there. I am not playing it. There's nothing graphic in this, but it is footage from when it happened. I promise. You don't see anything. It's perfectly safe to see it. There's nothing traumatic in it, but other than what it actually is, which is the moment that he was shot. I promise. The Zapruder film is more graphic than the footage you're about to watch.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
Now, I've seen some analysis being done on the people that were standing behind Charlie Kirk, which actually were his security detail and members of his crew, and whether or not they were giving signals to the shooter. The problem is that people aren't really taking into account, in order for those signals, there would have been no reaction time, because the shots would have had to have been fired as the signals were being given for the signals to be at all relevant. It's just a guy fixing his baseball cap on a hot day. He's probably out there sweating. He's standing in the sun. Unlike Charlie, who's sitting under, you can see he's sitting under that tent. Well, his guy who's, filming it on his phone is adjusting his hat on a hot day in the sun. He's probably sweating. Same thing with his security detail, who, he's just adjusting the sleeve on his shirt. Like I said, he's in the middle of moving his hand across his shirt when the shot hits. So those signals could not have been to the shooter, or at least not to the shooter if they were acted on. I don't think his security detail is involved in this, but what do I know? Stranger things have happened. Would it shock and surprise me? Probably not, but I think people are chasing ideas just to kind of, and I understand it. People are looking for an explanation for this because it's something that's so senseless that's what we do as human beings. We try and rationalize the irrational, and I think that's what people are doing, and I just think it's a red herring, in my opinion. Allegedly, of course, do your own research and form your own conclusions, but that's mine. There is also supposedly footage of the shooter running away through like a parking lot or something like that. Nope, not true. That's actually from a shooting from Nevada. And there is this, which I have not yet seen debunked, but I don't think it's actually based on the signs on the buildings. I don't think this is Utah. Maybe it's Butler, Pennsylvania, but I don't know. I don't believe that this is accurate footage either, but I'm going to play it because I haven't officially debunked it yet, so it might be. This is supposedly someone spotting the shooter on the roof beforehand. I don't know. Like I said, the sign on the building is sus to me. I don't think that would be the sign on the building in the middle of, University of Southern Utah's campus.
Yeah, you think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from over, where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just
so, that's what I have for you today. I would say today, I'm not ashamed to be an American. I'll never be ashamed to be an American, as I feel I am an American in the good sense. I'm ashamed of some Americans today, but that's nothing, unfortunately, that's nothing new lately. I tend to be ashamed of Americans a lot. But, again, my deepest condolences and prayers for the Kirk family, for his wife, his children, his parents, his siblings. I don't know if he has siblings, but his whole family, for the people he worked with, for the people whose lives he touched. He was one of the good ones. I mean, it's nothing new. He was killed because he wanted to change things. And that's, unfortunately, a story as old as time. But I'm going to finish up with another clip with Ann Widdecombe. And this is the big one, folks. I mean, this says it all.
Somebody who had spoken in favour of, had not been involved in, but had spoken in favour of the IRA. Now, I lost a friend in the Brighton bomb. I missed the Brighton bomb by less than 20 minutes. And I looked at this person and I said, "So you wanted to blow me up?" And she said, "Well, I didn't want to do it myself." I do not object to sharing a platform and arguing with her, because by arguing with her, I can expose what is wrong. It is absolutely right that we should allow people, no matter how profoundly we disagree with them — I hate to utter cliches in this august debating hall, but I am going to utter one — that no matter how much we may disagree with somebody, we should defend to the hilt their right to say it. And that is something that I have believed all my life, that you succeed by defeating your opponent, not by wishing him away. You get nowhere by trying not to hear what is being said, not to hear the other arguments. As I said at the beginning, and I do passionately appeal to you tonight, this is not about which side wins. This is about whether the Oxford Union, of all bodies, will vote in favour of the diminution of free speech. Whether we will agree, and I say we because I'm a life member of this place, whether we will agree that somebody else may decide what we can and can't hear. And just remember this: you may feel virtuous today in what you will not hear, but tomorrow somebody may feel virtuous in not hearing what you have to say. Free speech is for all, not for the privileged few.
The only people that try and silence people are the ones that are lying. If you're telling the truth, you don't want to silence people. You want to hear what they say so that you can then go turn around and prove them wrong. And the right to free speech comes with the responsibility of being willing to hear speech that you hate, and still allow them to say it because they have the same right as you do. And what you want is you want people to make the decision on their own. You want people to come to the right decision through options, through choices, through thought, not through indoctrination and silence. I look forward to reading your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you all have a great day, filled with love, laughter, and of course, dancing.
Dancing